And welcome into another episode of the CALIVEGAN podcast. Today we have a guest, Mr. Plant Geezer. That's how it's called on his account. And the guy is a vegan content creator. He does podcasts. He's a coach. So he coaches clients through a plant-based diet, and he talks a lot about animal rights. He's had conversations with different other vegan content creators. So we're going to talk about a little bit of fitness and the most common anti-vegan arguments. And so as we wait, make sure that if you are watching on YouTube, you like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know in the comments what do you want me to talk about in these podcasts. And once you get to the end of the podcast, because you will get there, let me know which is the part that you most liked. And if you are on YouTube, no, sorry, that was YouTube already. If you're on Instagram, make sure that you like, you follow me, you share it to your story, tell everyone in your family circle and friend that I am amazing, so they come to my account. And again, let me know in the comments what do you like about this podcast. And for sure, for the people watching on YouTube, make sure that if you want to come live and interact, come to my Instagram account, Stefano Vegan Calisthenics. So Mr. Plant Geezer is still not on, I think. So we'll wait for him. I can start off with a conversation that I had with one of my, well, we could say the only one, activist that is consistent and present when I organize the event. And she's very committed to animal rights, but recently we kind of had a problem, right? So this is when we do animal rights activism with Anonymous for the Voiceless, our main goal is not having a talk on the streets, and there are different reasons why just talking about veganism, animals, and what happens in animal industry doesn't work. So our goal with Anonymous for the Voiceless is making people think and making them responsible. And to do so, you gotta ask the uncomfortable questions. What stops you from being vegan? You need to get the people to, argument their position and address their objections. Because this is how you help them move them through the thought process and actually go vegan. So Plant Geezer is on. We just wait for him to request access. And yeah, so she told me that she doesn't like it. So the first thing she said is that she thinks that we are shaming people and making them feel guilty. But again, this is a very wrong way of seeing it, because if someone feels guilty because no one ever told them that it's wrong to consume change, it's not about, oh, you're shaming me. It's like, oh, okay, I realize that I'm doing something wrong, it's time to change. The fact that people then don't change and feel shamed is just something that we cannot control, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be direct in raising awareness and talk about animals. But anyway, talking with her, we then realized that actually we realized that it wasn't necessarily about if it's right or wrong to make hold people accountable for their action when it comes to consuming animal products, but rather her way of being that she didn't like to have to be confronting. So we're having some technical issue, it seems. All right, the technical issue is solved. How you doing, man?
Stefano, you good, mate? How are you?
Good. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. I've got my little, our little friend here.
Hello, hello.
He's come down at 9 o'clock. He knew we were on, man.
What's the name?
This is Richard. Don't laugh.
Richard.
He's got a tongue problem. How's life, man? You back in Italy now?
Now still in Spain, and I'll be going back to Italy next week to sell my camper, and then back to Spain again.
Ah, okay. So you're not staying in Italy now?
No. How's life on your side?
It's not bad, mate. It's all good, but I've had a shit morning. Police chase at 2:30 a.m. So been awake since like silly o'clock, and then I hit my head off the cooker. Then I burnt my thumb on the cooker. But other than that, man, it's a good start to the day.
All right. But yeah, man. So we have a discussion today about, some anti-vegan arguments. You've been, I think it's a long time. You now have been creating content. You have some conversation with other vegan content creator, right?
Yeah.
So you probably have your good points.
Every day is a war, man.
Yeah.
Every day we're at war.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And but I also wanted to talk a little bit about fitness because you are a coach, right?
Yeah.
And you're training clients. And here we go. I went into your bio, and you are the enemy, man. I'm joking.
Ah. Yeah, man.
I'm joking,
man,
but
I told you I was catching you up, man.
No, but really, I'm curious because like I mean, people think that my position is eat low protein, but it's not really. Is my position is that you shouldn't worry about protein because you get results anyway. I mean, definitely optimizing the diet is good. It's not that difficult, but I feel like the fitness industry really makes people think that nutrition is this magic trick that's going to get you results, especially when it comes to build muscle. And that's people that don't train and give the reason why they're not building muscle to the protein intake or the calories intake, but you're not fucking training. Try to train and try to be consistent, and you'll see that you get results anyway.
Yeah.
But I see in your bio that you help people with high protein diet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
So I'm curious to know, like, what's for you, high protein diet, why is important, and how does it look a high protein plant-based diet for you?
Yeah. So I think if my target audience was like yourself and people who, are a little bit more knowledgeable, I think I wouldn't have to say that, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of people who, especially new vegans who are not clued up on macros and stuff, I think that it's important to advertise it as that, you know what I mean? Whereas let's just say you've got the person who's just started out with veganism, they're eating healthily, they're hitting the gym, and they're getting 80 gram, which is probably what you'd get standardly without trying. So if you take me or you, who eats what, 130, 120, 140, I think I'd just class that as a high protein diet, where you have to put in a bit more effort to get there, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, when you compare it to some people who are on a meat diet and they're on 300, it's actually a low protein diet, but I think I think it's just there, just to kind of guide people
You know,
on what needs to be done.
you made a good point. You made a good point of being also partly a way of marketing and getting people attention. Because I think at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, people get really attracted from nutrition advice, and then protein specifically is its own niche. But I think it's the reason why they do is because it's easy, it's kind of easy and more fun to organize your diet and say, oh, okay, I'm going to eat a little bit more protein. That's at the end of the day, that's easy. What's difficult is, the reality is that if you want to change your body and actually build 10 kilograms of muscle, you need to be consistent with your workout for the next 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a good selling point for general population, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I mean, makes sense. And yeah, I mean, 120 grams of protein, that's going to come down to, what is it, for us, 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram. So that's at the end of the day what I actually eat, right? So I do tell people not to worry about eating that, but in the end of the day, you will get there with not much effort. You just need to eat
I
well.
agree, man. I think I'd rather someone work 100% and be on 80 gram than work 50% and be on 150 gram. You know what I mean? So yeah, so without the work there, it is a pretty pointless thing to say. But at the same time, I think it's important to get to you've got to put that little bit more homework in, haven't you, to get the protein to do the job in the first place. To give you them blocks. So, but now I agree, man. It's not the be all and end all. You know what I mean? It's definitely spoke of, man. It's overrated, and I think. Yeah, I just think it's the first thing people think of, isn't it? Protein. Got to get the protein. But like you say, without the work, what good's the protein, man?
Yeah. Then another thing I wanted to, ask you, what's your opinion is deficit, right? When you are on a deficit, losing weight, you're going to eat less calories, and here is where really people push higher protein intake to maintain lean mass. And this is where if you're a vegan, you want to increase that lean mass, especially if you are believing that you actually need more, like 2 grams or 2.5 grams of protein, then you're 100% going to have to supplement or going into fake meats. And again, like, why? So even though, let's say, the lean mass going to have some benefit, but we are putting lean mass and muscle growth before health, because if you do add more fake meats and protein powder, and you're already restricting your calories, that means less fruits and vegetables. And apart from that, your lean mass is still going to be related to your strength progression. At the end of the day, muscle gets stimulated from training, and this is really how they grow and how they stay. And again, like most of these fitness influencer, and me and you as well, we talk to beginners. We don't talk to elite athletes anyway. And all beginners, we have no problem getting stronger while being on a caloric deficit. I don't really have that problem neither, which I find it weird. Probably because I do a lot of cardio, so I can still eat more calories that give me energy in the workouts. But yeah, like, would you agree with that, or do you suggest increase the protein while on a deficit? Because for me, it's more important to have more fruit during a deficit, actually, because eating more fruits and vegetables, first of all, make sure that you get the micronutrients, which in this case I would put more important than the protein, because you're restricting the calories. And the other way, if you increase fruits and vegetables, you're going to feel better during a caloric deficit, because these carbs and the glucose is going to make you feel energetic, even though you're eating less calories.
Yeah, man, it's a good point, man. So you're saying basically, rather than get an extra shake down you, or whether, you know, rather than have an extra source of protein, you're just saying you're better to fill yourself up over the course of the day with fruit and veg. Yeah, man, like, yeah, definitely. I definitely wouldn't up my protein. I know a lot of people, they up their protein for it, but I wouldn't say that that's necessary at all, man. I keep mine the same. You know, it's always about 120, 150. It's not like, you know, I'll start cutting and then put it up to like 180. You know what I mean? It'd just be it'd be quite hard to do as well, because like you say, you're trying to keep your calories low, and the more protein that you get in you, it's going to up your calories. And I'd rather just have a bowl of fruit or something. So yeah, man, I'd keep it the same. I agree with you, man. I'd keep it the same. Chuck in more fruit and fasting, man. Like, without fasting, I don't know how people do it, because I've got to push more.
You mean intermittent fasting?
Yeah, man. I just push it all the way back so that it gives me less time to eat, basically. You know what I mean? So without that, I'm not sure how people do it, because it is tricky, especially when the weekend comes. You know, so. But mate, it's interesting you should say that, because I only said yesterday to someone, I don't get tired, and I should be tired. You know, when you cut, 400 less, 300 less, 500 less. I was actually on 1900 last week, and like you say, my energy levels don't drop. But I remember years ago, I'm not going to say it, but when I will say it, when I used to eat meat, I'm not saying it's because of that reason, but I remember being really hungry, man, really weak, craving. This year, the last 5 months, man, I've been good. You know, cutting calories, energy levels through the roof. I'm still running more. I'm lifting the same. I'm getting out of bed the same. No fatigue. So it's strange. You got any reason why that would be? Or?
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think it's also come from maybe becoming more experienced. Like when I was eating meat, for example, myself, I didn't have that knowledge about calories as well, and I was doing too big of a deficit sometimes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I feel pretty good when I'm doing a 500, even 600 caloric deficit. Like my deficit is 2,500 calories, because again, I do 1 hour of kickboxing, or I go for 10 or 15K run. So that's going to be, you know, my maintenance would be around 2,800, 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, man, I can believe it.
That's pretty high. And yeah, another point about protein, and then we talk about we can talk about the anti-vegan stuff. But that's another interesting factor that, you know, I don't know what's your opinion, but I understand, you know, people attack me sometimes, you know, like science doesn't care about your feeling, but we gotta remind that, you know, science is trial and error. Obviously a more, you know, controlled way to learn things. But at the end of the day, science is trial and error. And for what my understanding, going vegan, understanding more about nutrition, becoming a coach, you know, we are coming from, you know, a nutrition science that told us that we need to drink cow's milk, get calcium. So this is where we're coming from. And we're coming from a nutrition science that tells us to eat meat every day because we are omnivore, but we are monkeys, we're chimpanzees. You know, like, science doesn't come from a good place. Now, I'm not saying it's not progressing. We shouldn't consider science. We definitely do. So it's absolutely important. But science is not everything. And when it comes to protein, you know, I was listening to these. Do you know Renaissance periodization? Probably don't know this guy. The bald, steroided guy.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty famous. He's got millions of subscribers, and was having an interview with these nutrition experts, sports science, right? And when they were talking about protein, and when they got to the vegan protein intake, the guy was like, "Oh yeah, like you need to eat 3 times more protein as a vegan because of the lack of quality in the protein and amino acids." How does that make sense? You know, like I feel like that's it's I don't know. bro.
Yeah,
It's like lion, though. You know,
oh,
it's
man. So if you
it's
take somebody like yourself who's been training for what 15 years plus, 5, 6, 7 years vegan, I don't know. Where do
fine.
they think 5 years? Where do they think you would be? Like
Exactly.
if you ate 250 instead of 125,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
where you know what I mean? You'd be like a fucking professional worldwide bodybuilder, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, where do they think that would?
Yeah.
It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. You can only do what you can do, and you can only build what you can build in a certain time. I don't understand why.
That's my point. That's my point. When they talk about these benefits and optimization, they don't really talk about how much is it, what's
Mm.
going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But interesting enough, in the same interview, it talks about how they are learning how the body is actually capable to synthesize protein and recreate tissues in different ways that is not directly related to the amount of protein that you're taking. So what I've heard in this moment is, okay, so you don't fucking understand exactly how the human body works, right? You're just making guesses, and as you're making guesses, you're pushing those high numbers just because of kind of safety, you know? They just push whatever.
Yeah.
But how is it important? And again, gorillas eat plants, and I wouldn't want to fight a gorilla if you ask me.
And I've seen your kicks as well, man. I wouldn't want to fight you either. Nah,
Yeah,
it's
I kick
crazy, man.
hard, they say.
I wonder, man. I wonder if meat didn't taste good, how the opinion would change. You know what I mean? So you know, if cow, should I say, tasted like shit, chicken tasted like shit, and pigs tasted like shit. You know, how more appealing would soy be then? How more appealing would chickpeas be? You know what I mean? So again, it boils back down to the point, doesn't it, of people being addicted to flesh, people making up excuses, people leaning to one side because it makes them feel good and things like that. And the proof's in the pudding, man. Like
Yeah, I think
the
that's
proof is
that's
there.
that's something to consider as well when it comes to everything. That at the end of the day, yeah, science is there, but science also moves with the majority of people. It's just like medicines, like people say, oh, doctors and big pharmas are trying to make you sick. Not really. It's you that you're being lazy, taking care of your health, and therefore all the healthcare is based on weak people that prefer to take a pill. Because you know that if you're obese and you don't move and you can't breathe, the solution is not heal first. The solution is that take care of your health, and you're probably going to have less medicines. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need medicine, we don't need doctors, but I'm saying that science also is influenced from what the majority wants, and the same goes down to the science about meat and animal products. There are more money and interest around meat and animal products, though they prefer to make those studies that kind of support that we can say, and it's not even about you know where the money comes from and how the funding, where the funding comes from. Just about everyone likes meat,
Mm.
so it makes sense to make studies around those animal products and kind of validating what the general population wants,
And also,
right?
don't forget don't forget you're up against the 97%. So everything that you see with this, this vegan debate with meat this, meat that, vegan this, vegan that, mate, it's 97% against 3%, if that. Do you know what I mean? So if it was like 90-10 or 80-20, I think
Yeah,
we'd see a lot more pro-vegan stuff. You know what I mean? We'd see a lot more anti-meat stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to sit here and say chicken breast is going to kill you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, but mate, 97% you're up against, man, and with that 97% becomes, I don't know, 33 times more support. You know what I mean? From that side. So yeah, I think as time goes on, I think we'll see a lot more of the opposite, man. Hopefully, anyway.
Absolutely. Crop that, bro. You're killing insects, bitch.
Oh, oh, God, I knew it was going to come. I knew it was coming. Crop deaths, man. Listen. It's got to be the most common one, hasn't it? It's got to be the most common one.
Oh yeah, big time. Like in my most viral, controversial vegan posts, that they're like crop deaths, crazy
Right, listen,
bombs and.
so my first point would be you've got three scenarios. Yeah, the first scenario is we've got to survive. Yeah, we've got to eat. We've got to grow crops. At the minute, there is deaths involved with this. Now, with this, everyone on the planet is responsible and agrees that this should happen, i.e., surviving and passing on life and being able to eat. That's just number one rule. We've got to do that. This one is going around killing dogs and cats and horses and all these other animals, just completely unnecessarily abusing and exploiting them and killing them. And then in the middle, you've got chopping cows, pigs, and sheep heads off, along with all the other shit that goes on. So we agree with this one. We agree with this one that it shouldn't happen. This should happen. This shouldn't happen. But the one in the middle, which is the killing of fucking pigs and cows and sheep and chicken and fish, we disagree on. So it's not like we're disagreeing on everything. We need to eat. Do you know what I mean? We need to eat. We've got to feed ourselves. So the middle one is where we disagree. So why is it that this one's not okay? It's not okay to go around abusing and killing animals unless you want a fucking sandwich. You know what I mean? It's the little bit in the middle that we disagree with. So it's not like we're walking around going, "Oh, I don't kill nothing." You know what I mean? It's blatantly obvious that it's got to happen. Do you know what I mean? So what do you want us to do? Do you want us to starve, man? What do you want, man? Do you know what I mean? Do you want,
Sure, man. Like to be honest, I do think about it. I do feel kind of the same guilt that I have for everything else. I would want not to cause suffering, but when I think about it, how do I fucking change my habits not to participate? It's, for me, in the situation that I live, is so unpractical. I should really need, I don't know, some kind of coach that has experience in it and really knows how to organize your diet around it. But I think it's close to impossible.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you really, the real solution would be the argument that some people have that, oh, only can be vegan if you grow your own things and you would be perfect. Yes, that would be the one, but obviously that's not practical. Like what do I do? Do I use my commune garden to grow my own things?
Yeah.
They're not going to allow me to do that.
Yeah.
It also takes time. You probably, if you're a busy individual that works, animal rights activism actually reduces suffering. So if I don't spend my time doing animal rights activism, I spend my time taking care of my plants, because then if it doesn't,
No. You can't do it, man. We're not in that world. If we were all in little communities, with little chalets and stuff like that, it might be possible, but that's not going to happen. I hope it does happen. I hope that it does. That does come back. You know what I mean? But we live in the modern world, man, and it's not going to happen. And I say to people, look, imagine you've got two roads. You're driving down one road, and you've got to drive down this road to feed your family. Now, when you drive down this road, deaths must occur. So you might run over some rabbits or whatever, but you've got to drive down one of these roads. The other road, you purposely drive down and hit into fucking dogs and cats and horses and all these things. You've got to choose one. Which one do you choose? You're not going to choose you're going to choose the path of least destruction. You know what I mean? So it's the same as that. It's like saying, well, you've got two choices. Why would you choose the more violent one, why would you choose the more barbaric one? Do you know what I mean? And then choose that one, and then blame the other people for choosing the one of least destruction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to choose one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit here and fucking die and drink water until I fucking shrivel up. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is funny because I heard someone on a reel arguing against the fact that it's impossible to be vegan because there is always some suffering, saying that in order to grow plants, farmers use shrimp, nutrients in order to nourish the field. It's so stupid, man. How do you think? How do you come up with this argument? Obviously, not every pharmacist is using shrimp broth of something.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I think at this point, you just ignore these people that talk to you that way. Especially, my suggestion to activists in the street, or if you are talking with your family and parents, understand that this person is lost. You're not going to change
No.
their mind. They're just throwing bullshit at you,
Yeah.
because they don't want to change. And as you said, they feel safe because most population is on their side, and that's why they ramp about all of these stupidity. What you should say probably is, to sum it up, is that crop protection, and it's different than murder. We need crops and we need food, and as of right now, this is how we do it. If you have the opportunity to buy local and you have some organic plant crops close to you, farmer, maybe you have a vegan farmer close to you, who knows, then do it. Find the best way to buy your plants. Like something that I do, I try to do, is buying from Spain now. Everything that is as close as possible to me. And then obviously we need to go into the fact that 75% of crops and plant crops goes to feeding the animals you eat. And it's crazy that people don't logically get there, because a cow weighs 4 times a human, and she is going to eat for 6 months to 5 years before you put her in a slaughterhouse and shot her in the head and cut her head off. So that's a lot of food. It's obvious that that you are contributing to more crop deaths than you would be doing as a vegan. And those are the arguments that I would bring up. And if this person is genuinely confused, they might change their position. If not, they are a lost cause, and I wouldn't stress too much. Save your energies, because it is draining to have this conversation with these people. Just kick it off of your life.
Mate, there was someone post something yesterday about a certain theory, and it's called something I can't remember. It's a law. It's called something law, and it takes like 10 times the amount of energy to disprove of something, rather than just make a simple claim. So someone goes, "Oh, crop deaths," and then it takes so much energy to disprove of that. You know what I mean? But by the time you've explained it, you're doing this again, man, and it's not going to get through to them anyway. So you could throw something solid at them, but they're not going to accept it anyway. So it's hard not to reply, man, to people. It's time consuming. We might think that we're doing a good thing by trying to educate or whatever, but you're not going to know, man. And most people who comment as well, who are anti-vegan, they've already made their mind up, man. They're not going to change.
Yeah.
It's only a very small percentage. So yeah, it's draining, man. It's hard. I meant to ask you, so your content is, there's a lot of you physically doing stuff, so pull-ups and calisthenics, and you're proving that you're not weak. So I haven't got any footage of myself, so I get a lot of comments, "Oh, you're weak, you're deficient." Do you still get the comments of being weak, even though it's fucking in their face? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I get people telling me I am small. You're just looking like the average vegan. Uh, you will be so much bigger if you ate meat.
You're on
Yeah, I get
steroids.
this. I'm on steroids is a big one. Take it as a compliment, of course, but I don't know. Instagram and social media, there is a lot of hate. You don't know who's behind the phone. If they are being honest, they're just trolling. Uh, there is definitely a lot of misinformation about what's possible when it comes to build muscle as well. But something that I they say all the time, like in real life, I'm usually the biggest guy around.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it is, it's difficult for me sometimes because it gets in your head. But I have learned to chill down, realize that that's just social media, and real life is different, and it's also that it's not about being the biggest anyway. It's about progress. That's what you should look at, progress. Because even though I'll be quicker eating meat, I don't really care. I'm still making progress. I'm still getting stronger. Right? I don't murder an animal because I'm going to get one extra pull up on my max pull ups, in a row.
Yeah.
It would make sense, but yeah, man, I still get it a lot. I still get it a lot,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's just mad to think how your footage is so it's there. It's for everyone to see, man, and to make these comments is just fucking it's mind blowing, man. But
But
I think there's a
I
certain
guess, but
type
yeah,
of person.
I guess what's coming more than weak or you look small is more the steroids
Yeah.
one. So people do recognize I'm strong and muscular, so they say you're on steroids.
But regardless of your diet, you could be on steroids anyway. So I don't know
Yeah,
why they say that. It's not like it's because then they're not even arguing for or against veganism. They're just jealous of you and they're trying to bring you down.
yeah, yeah.
That's all that is. That's even worse. You know what I mean? That's just
Yeah,
somebody with insecurities trying to give it the bigger.
yeah. We go back to what we said before, that it is a weak society, and they like to hear what would it make them feel good about themselves. Well, this is another thing that people don't agree with me. And are you sober? You're sober? Yeah, you're a sober
Me,
person. You live your life sober, yeah?
I thought you were talking about the people who say to you, me.
No, I'm asking you. Yeah, just for context.
Yeah, I'm fairly sober. Yeah, very rarely drunk now. Yeah,
Okay.
no drugs.
So I'm not. I've been sober now for almost 1 month, but I got my struggle with addiction here and there. And one of my points is that if you want to fight bad habits, if you really struggle, you have some kind of addiction, you should keep pushing for your training and your good habits, even though you fucked up. All right, let's say you're problem with weed and that you smoke and it makes you sluggish. Do your workout anyway, even if it doesn't go well. Do it, because if you do it, it's going to remind you that you need to leave the bad habits, because the good habits and training is what's going to make you feel good long term. And this is how I fought it. And this is what, if I wouldn't be doing that, if I didn't have training already in me when I went to London and started partying and taking drugs, I would be in London just partying and taking drugs, and perhaps I was going to get in a very, a deep and dark addiction problem with cocaine, probably. So, and so I say that to people, but then I get people, that come up with studies. It shows that it's very bad to work out when you are hungover. It's very risky for your health. And I imagine all these weak people that say, oh yeah, I'm hungover, I cannot work out. Studies say that. No, you're validating your weakness, man. And also, of course, I'm not telling you to try and push your hardest when you don't feel at your best. Right? I'm just telling you to do it anyway. Push through it. You know, do something, go for a run, you know, and try and do your workout. Because anyway, you cannot live your life looking for studies. You know,
No.
how do I have to pick up this cup? What's the most optimized way to pick up the cup? I should check PubMed for the best study. Maybe it's 3 fingers, 2 fingers. You know, like you don't do that. You own your freaking body, right? If you start training and you feel like you're passing out, stop.
Yeah, don't do that,
You
mate.
know what I mean?
I've done enough 24-hour sessions drinking, no sleep, and play football the next day. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I mean,
I've
you have a,
threw up on the sideline and everything. Do you know what I mean? Shit like that back in the day. Nah, stop being weak. Stop being weak. Drink a pint of water. Get on the bars.
yeah, and just use your body. I mean, like you're going to feel if you really feel bad, and you're using a smartphone, man. You're paying for enslaved children in Africa. How can you consider yourself a vegan?
To do with the phones and the laptops and stuff.
The batteries.
The batteries. I've not really had that one.
No,
But
it's
no, no,
not. It's
no.
not as common. It's not as common. It's
Yeah,
not as
yeah.
common. But
I've had the one, you know, where your phone's made out of gelatine, and I say, well, the reason that the gelatine is there in the first place is because there is like 80 billion corpses that need to be, you know, used up. So they're going to use that because it's cheap. I'd say number one, I didn't know about it. If you would like to give me some information, I will take in that information, and I'm willing to change. I'm willing to make better decisions.
well, yeah. So to make it
I'll put
clear,
you a
not
deal. So I'll say, okay, then I'll make a decision to, you know, I don't know, buy something different if you agree to stop funding the abuse of cows getting fisted. You know what I mean? Let's make a deal. But it's just another throw. It's just another stone throw. You know, it's just another brick to throw to say, oh, you're doing bad. I didn't know, man. It's kind of like a political problem, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah,
I can't.
you went straight to the right issue. I mean, since you never heard this, I should make clear that it's not really people enslaved there neither. People are not enslaved. That they are not in the best working conditions. But just like every third country world, I mean, any poor country, they have bad conditions, and by not buying those phones, you're not going to improve their condition because actually they find income in these
Yeah.
jobs and finding getting the minerals to create these batteries out. So and you cannot you cannot change that. That's a problem of Africa political way of doing the things and how they work they treat the employers. And I believe overall things are improving everywhere in the world. And the difference between that situation and animal is that at the end of the day, or as bad as the situation can be, humans always have a choice. They could, even if it's risky, even if it's not as easy as we might have it in our countries here in Europe, you still have a choice. How many Africans decided to emigrate and come to Europe, and they are living a better life at the end of the day than they were in there. So it is not the same thing,
No, also, the more people use what's it called? The more people use laptops, phones, devices, the more the internet exposes evil, and the more it exposes bad things. So if a person was enslaved, and then the person did produce a battery, and the battery did make its way to Europe, and then you did use the battery, people who were doing good things, trying to spread awareness, it couldn't be done without the battery. So
absolutely.
I'm sure that they'd be happy that the battery is being used to spread good in the world. You know what I mean? So, but yeah,
That's a good
I don't really
point.
get that one. That's quite strange. What about you got the crop deaths. I had one the other day. Yeah, but it's okay because dogs are companions and pigs are not companions.
Yes, like what's the moral difference between a pig and a dog, right? When it comes to this, I really like to connect with humans and the overall discrimination, right? Like at the end of the day, what you're doing is discriminating, like deciding who's for what, right? But what we ask as vegans is not looking at what the differences are, but what the similarities are, right? So dog and a pig, they're both same. You know, they have families, they have friends, they want food and they want to play, and and also what people need to understand when they see pigs are these dirty animals that means nothing is because they relate them to animal farming. But if you put the pig in a house, you put the pig in a free field, you will see an animal that's happy, that's running around, and you would see that pig more as an individual. By the end of the day, when you're saying that pigs don't deserve to be respected uh, because you get pleasure out of them, you like the taste, and you want to get the nutrition out of them, you're doing the same thing as slave owners in the past decided that black people. I'm saying black people, but slavery has happened in all different cultures. But I guess that's more the most relatable one. What the slave owners said that black people matter less, and their comfort in life was more important than their freedom. Based on what?
Mm.
Yeah,
And I'd love to know. I'd love to know
just your decision.
I'd love to know the percentage of people that would accept that today, because if someone can't work out in their head that a pig is the same as a dog and it's the same soul and it's the same suffering and the same pain,
Oh man,
I'd love to.
I got a plant feel pain today, and it went as deep as plants are more intelligent than chickens.
Wow. And bacteria is more intelligent than a cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Man, it's mad. I think the problem we've got is, I said this to someone. I said you've got four types of people. You got vegans. You got the people at the other end, which are like trolls and like violent people and dog abusers, and 1%, 2%, and then you got 1%, 2%. The 96% in the middle is what you need to what we need to focus on, because if you focus on the 1% of the 2%, I think it's just wasted energy, man, because they're not going to change. It's the people that who are good people, clever people, caring people. I think these are the people that we need to be targeting. And these 96% are not the ones going around commenting deficient on Stefano's calisthenics fucking video. You know what I mean? So it's hard to focus on that when you've got that little chunk at the end who are just fucking anti-vegan.
Yeah.
Pro Instagram comments, you know what I mean? So, but it's hard. It's hard because they're there, man. They're always there.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And yeah, so what do you think is the best way of doing activism, in your opinion, or the one that you enjoy the most?
I'd like to say that it's. I'd like to say that it's going on the street, but you'll know more about that than me because I haven't really done it. But I think just being healthy, man. Because a lot of people agree they're just scared to sacrifice their health, and I think just being healthy and doing what you do, proving it with physical evidence is probably the best way to go, man. I'd say, because it plants a seed and then the seed grows, and then I think there's more chance of that happening. When people can see that. I could be wrong. Obviously, you do the street stuff, and that's another question. Actually, someone asked, because they probably saw you do it, what's the best way to get into street activism, and also what kind of positive outcomes have you had?
All right. Yeah, that's a good question, and it comes from different problems when people want to get into activism. So one thing that I start off is how to do what I think is the best activism to do online. I think the best activism to do online is mix something that you're very good at with straight straight animal rights activism and ethics. So because I think it's true that you can get people interested in animals already if you talk about animal rights directly, but there is a lot of people they're good people. They're not necessarily bad, but they are disconnected from animals. They don't have this connection, and if you can get them their attention through whatever you're good at, whether it's recipes, maybe it's music, maybe it's fitness, like us, you can get their attention and then show them and talk about animals, animal rights, and make them understand that they are individual and it's unjust to make them suffer. That's, I think, a very good way to do activism online.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to getting into we've been kicked out from the live, and so I'm just going to keep answering the question. So what's the best way to do activism in the street? So I think doing activism in the street is very important. So we've been cut off because Instagram doesn't like me, and I had different.
It's the Matrix, man. The Matrix
different.
took us off.
Yeah. So yeah, street activism is, I guess it's as important as online activism, but when you are in the street, you can really connect with the person and perhaps actually turn this person into a vegan on the spot. And so some people, when they do street activism, they kind of scared that they're not having enough conversation, but you need to understand that the impact that only one person can have, could be great. You could be speaking with a entrepreneur that owns a business and is going to turn all his business into a vegan business, and that's going to be a huge impact for the animals and the reduction of suffering. And I think it's important that when you do animal and have debates and conversation in the street, I think filming and then sharing can really multiply your impact. Okay. Now, how to get into that? If you're lucky enough, the best way to do is finding an animal rights organization close to you. And personally, when I made the ethical connection with veganism, I did that through listening to Joey Armstrong and having his debates on the street. And I liked the fact he was very rational and coherent and straight to the point. And I was like, I can do that. I want to do that. I want to have these conversations. But in that time, I was living in an island where there was, only farmers and close-minded people. And I would feel uncomfortable to start doing activism by myself there. And actually, I broke the ice when I then moved to Milan, and there was a big group from Anonymous for the Voiceless, and that helped me do the step. So I understand if people feel uncomfortable getting out there by themselves, the best way is finding a way of making little steps outside of your comfort zone. And one way is obviously going to find some animal rights groups. The other thing is If you can't do that, then you need to commit to do it yourself, because there is something very nice about doing animal rights activism is that even if it's very uncomfortable, I think it's more uncomfortable to be surrounded by people that are really making a lot of friction against veganism, and making dumb arguments, and they're just not going to go vegan. So being surrounded by friends and family that after you have a conversation with them, they just keep making jokes and they're being stupid about it and they don't want to go vegan, it's much more uncomfortable that get on the street and perhaps having conversation with open-minded people that actually go vegan. Getting people to go vegan is very fulfilling, and I suggest you do it even if it's uncomfortable. You can do it in different ways. So you can become an organizer of Anonymous for the Voiceless, actually, which is a good way to do it, even though you're going to have to do it in a way that they say that you might don't agree with. I don't know, maybe you don't like the mask, you don't like the music, you don't like the screen, whatever. But this is in a very effective way to do activism, and they will help you train yourself as to be an effective activist. So I do suggest you get involved with Anonymous for the Voiceless and become an organizer. Other ways you can do it is, the typical controversial cartel in the street. Why aren't you vegan? And actually, that could be less confronting, depending on what you write on the cartel, right? So if you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser. Obviously, it's going to get people screaming at you as you stand there. But if you do it more like Cliff, I think it's called Cliff, the guy, and the question that he makes is, what do you think about animal abuse or something like that? It's softer, and you won't get so much friction from people. Yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah. Well, I expected more friction when I did the dog meat one, but I was surprised, man. I was surprised at how many people were like, "Yes, I am a hypocrite, man. I'm a hypocrite." They admitted it. You know what I mean? Like 3 or 4 people I spoke to. There was only 2 that kicked off. With a few, a bit of abuse, but most people were good, man. Like 98% were good, and it was surprising, man. It was especially here, bit of an attitude problem around here, but it was good, man. It was good, and people were good. They spoke, they talked, and even the ones that disagreed still gave off a good energy, So it was surprising, man. Have you what would you say your best method has been, in terms of reaction? What kind of question have you put out there, or what's
Yeah.
your best reaction?
So yeah, again, Anonymous for the Voiceless give you a good approach to the conversations. Like something that I've learned, and most activists make mistake on, is giving too much of a talk when they do street activism, like just talking about what happens to animals, and how many animals die, giving a lot of datas, and that's not the most effective way to have a conversation. Sure, you wanted to give this person some information. We lost him. Some information, but what's important is that you make these people think. You need to make these people think about their action and what you actually what they actually think about animals. So the best way to approach it is definitely showing people animal agriculture footage, even if it happened to me at kickboxing gyms, right? That when they start, oh yeah, you're vegan, I really like meat. Yeah, man, but pigs are killed in gas chambers when you eat meat, and this is the video. I actually do that because those images and strong images that people perhaps never saw are very important to allow people to make the connection.
Yeah, because even I forget, man. Sometimes I don't forget, but if I'm talking to someone in the pub or just anywhere, it's not in the forefront of my mind. So I'm not as maybe as passionate or as driven to back it up. Whereas if it's in your face and you can see it and you can see what's going on, it changes the way you think. You know what I mean? You know what it's like when you watch a video.
Yeah.
Your blood boils, man, and it gives you that fire to do something. Whereas if you don't see it, if you can't see it, there's nothing to relate to. Especially people who've never seen it. Do you know what I mean? So they've got to see it, man, and it's got to be in the face. And I don't see how anyone with a brain and a heart can watch it and just accept it. They're either lying to themselves, they're either lying to themselves, they're trying to be the big man, or they're just that addicted to fucking meat and the taste of something that they can't accept it, man. Which is fine, which is worrying, man.
Yeah, and then the most important question to ask is if what they feel about that, if they are against animal cruelty. You know, most people, they say that's cruel, that's violent. Yes, I'm against animal cruelty, and asking them directly if they feel like it makes sense to say you're against animal cruelty and pay for what you've just seen at the same time, right? And you will get people that just say, no, it doesn't make sense. All right. So if you get those people, there's no point to just rambling about other things. Just tell them. So what would stop you from going vegan today and stop paying for animal cruelty? And I had an activist. Some activists would say, "Oh, this is shaming." That's not shaming. Is holding this person accountable and make them understand that a change is needed now. They are paying for it now. And some people will say, well, nothing. Nothing. It might be my next step now to be vegan. And that's it. I think these are the most important question to ask, because once you get people to realize this, to kind of understand that they have to align their action with their value, then they can look documentaries by themselves. Then you should motivate this person to watch the documentary by themselves. That's why when you do street activism, it's important that you don't focus too much about talking and giving a speech, but rather make this person clear about the fact that their values don't align with their action, and that their action are the cause of animal suffering.
Shout out to Dog Meat Molly, who sets up the dog meat activism. She said, you don't know how far someone is. You don't know how much they've got in their cup before it spills over. You know what I mean? So you could speak to someone that is 95% of the way there, and you could just show them one thing that they have never seen before, or you could say something that they've never heard before, and it could just spill them over the edge. But you don't know who is who, and you don't know what they've seen. They could have 10 different pieces of info, and they only need 11. You know what I mean? So you don't know how far you are, how close you are to changing somebody.
Yeah, and also based on this, like as you go through this initial question that I said, I made an example of someone that is quickly going towards veganism, but then if this person is not ready to be vegan, we'll start giving you X, Y, and Z excuses, and you can start overcoming those objections, right? And again, some people would be genuinely experiencing, cognitive dissonance, and as you help them understand that those excuses don't make sense and don't justify animal abuse, they might still go vegan. Or if this person starts looping and throwing you more and more excuses, just quit the conversation, kick this person out, and that's it. But yeah, man, so it was a great conversation. I need to end this and train my legs because I don't want to look like a chicken. And nothing against chickens, but guys, you should be doing some more leg training because your legs are very skinny.
Get on the pistol squats, man. It's all about the pistol squats, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mate,
I would love to train with weights, to be honest, but I don't want to waste time to go to the gym. So
nice.
I did that.
You're doing the right thing, man. It's working. Mate, can I just ask before you go, calisthenics, if people go to the gym and they do seven exercises, 3 sets, what would a typical workout for you look like? Pull-ups, dips, upside down?
So you want an upper body workout?
Do you do
Like,
full? Oh, you don't do full body. You do a push day, pull day.
yeah,
Or
I do push pull legs, and then I do an upper body workout. So I think 3 to 4 exercise for muscle group is good. And if you are a beginner, your first goal should definitely be focusing more on the basics. Like, big mistake that I see is people trying front lever and planche, but they cannot do 10 pull-ups in a row. So it doesn't make sense. You want to develop that basic strength first. And then the first more advanced exercises would be handstand push-ups and muscle ups for sure. So what I would say is that for your pull and push exercise, your first exercise choice should be either a variation of pull-ups and a variation of handstand push-ups. So this could be pike push-ups, for example. So feet assisted handstand push-up, right? And this way you're building your way up to handstand push-up. For pull, if you're already a little bit more advanced, you can get closer to a muscle up, and there's 2 ways you can approach that. You can either just keep it simple and develop more strength with weighted pull-ups, or doing some variation of a muscle up, perhaps with a band. You can do high pull-ups or just the assisted muscle ups with the band. Then there's a second exercise. Definitely you will stick to the basic, whether you're a little bit more advanced or a beginner. Is going to be either any variation of a pull-up, whether it's an easier one or is actually pull-ups. And for the push, dips. I think dips and moving towards weighted dips, it's a good way to progress over time. And for the first and second exercise, I would stay at lower volume, so less than 8 reps. Trying to increase the volume between 5 and 8 repetitions before you go back to 5 reps and increase the intensity. And for your third exercise, instead, you can be more hypertrophy and lowering the intensity and choosing something that's easier, so you can do more volume. For the push, it could be as simple as push-ups, maybe weighted push-ups. And for the pull, could be Australian pull-ups. That actually Australian pull-ups, basically Australian pull-ups are the one when you do pull-ups horizontally with your feet on the floor. Maybe you do them on rings or on a low bar. But I found that actually doing Australian pull-ups, because I didn't try it in a long time, Australian pull-ups with your feet elevated, so you basically shoulders and feet are at the same level, or maybe your shoulders are a little bit lower and you're pulling, those are very hard. Like doing 3 or 4 sets of 15 to 20 of those are hard for intermediate athlete as well. So this is a good exercise to have. And yes, then there could be a fourth exercise, but I would spend time on shoulder strengthening as a fourth exercise for beginner or intermediate. So whether it is scapular push-ups or scapular pull-ups. The other thing that I say to beginners is that calisthenics is not bodybuilding. We are not trying to target the muscle. When you choose calisthenics exercises, forget how the way they're targeting the muscle, because you will not make progress. It's more difficult to make progress like that. So, like yesterday, for example, in my life, I was doing at the end an EMOM 10, 12 push-ups every minute for 10 minutes. And I said, okay, maybe I'm doing diamond push-ups. And someone says, oh, is that because you are targeting your inner chest and your tricep? No, I'm just choosing that because it's more difficult. And so it increases the intensity, right? So calisthenics, forget about how you're targeting the muscle, focus more on making sure that you have vertical and horizontal exercises. And the different variation is more about, making the exercise easier or more difficult.
Yeah, mate, quality. I used to do it, man. I did it for about 2 or 3 years. I had an impingement, so I stopped. But that's gone now, and I've got to got a garden. So this spring, mate, I might start next week. I'm going to get back on it, and I'll be looking for some inspo, man.
Yeah. And that's it. Do you want to kind of tell people, kind of what you do and where to find some of your free material if you have?
Yeah, man. I'll do the same as you, but with more protein, man. Bit higher. Nah. Yeah, man. Just I've merged the food business with the coaching business because I found that everyone that I was coaching wanted to. Oh God, here we go. Yeah, everyone that I trained wanted the food as well. So I've kind of merged my food with the coaching. Obviously targeting people in the UK. So hopefully we get the ball rolling with that. And yeah, prep meals or coaching, high protein.
Sounds good. So guys, go follow Plant Geezer. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let us know what you like the most about this chat. If you are on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe. And for me, I help vegan men build muscle through calisthenics, and I have a free guide to get you started as a beginner, and you can train from home as well as giving you a structure on how to lose fat on a plant-based diet. Just drop me a DM saying I want it, and I'll send it over to you. Brother, has been a pleasure.
Thank you for the invite, Stefano, and I'll see you soon, man. Take it easy.
See you soon.
Cheers,
Ciao,
mate.
ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye.